Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I'm going to look at a live album from Bob Dylan, originally released in Japan only, August '78, recorded at Budokan in Tokyo, and released worldwide in April '79. This is the album I'm talking about, and the reason I'm reviewing it today is because yesterday on Spotify and other online platforms was released an expanded version of Budokan with the entire concert from 28th of Feb and the entire concert from 1st of March. So it really is a treat for Dylan fans. I'm not sure if it counts as one of the bootleg series, but for me it does. It's like, what are they up to now, 18 or 19? Just wonderful value for money for Dylan fans, new stuff coming out every year. I have to say, when I first got this album, I didn't get it until university. It came with a poster, I remember, which was nice, blue tack marks on the back, so I must have had it on my wall at university, I think, because I didn't get into Bob until I got to university. At school, I remember there was a friend of mine, James Stewart, who got this album, and I just couldn't get into it, and I thought he was rather mature for being into Bob, because it was a bit above me at the time. Obviously, later on, I made up for that, but I remember, don't remember too well at the time, but reading about it in preparation for this, it got absolutely slaughtered by the critics, this album. A lot of people called it one of the worst albums of all time, and what is Bob doing? A lot of people complained about the sort of Las Vegas type sound which he developed, which is a bit out of kilter with what was happening at the time in the music industry. But Bob had always sort of reimagined his songs and never did the same version more than once or twice. So it's actually quite brave, some of the arrangements he does, and it works more often than it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't work on every track. But what's noticeable about this album is it features most of the band who would play on Street Legal, which is the studio album released later in '78. So we've got Steve Douglas on sax, brilliant, Billy Cross, superb lead guitar, Ian Wallace from the UK on drums, and I just reading that he died tragically aged 60 only of cancer. Great drummer, and Bob's very generous to him in his introduction, his band introduction, saying give him a big hand, he deserves it. Rob Stoner on bass, who didn't appear on Street Legal but had been on the Rolling Thunder tour. Alan Pasqua on that swirling organ, which is to feature so prominently on Street Legal, is all over the every track on this album. It's a great effect. David Mansfield, who'd been on Rolling Thunder as well, is on violin and mandolin and bit of dobro. Bobby Hall on percussion, and we got three backing singers: Helena Springs, Debbie Dye and Joanne Harris. And they were to feature, Joanne Harris and Helena Springs were to be on Street Legal, and Helena Springs was to feature on Slow Train Coming for sure. And there's an amusing story here, because when Bob does the band introductions, he introduces Helena Springs as his fiancée. I knew they had a relationship, I didn't know they were engaged, so I thought, okay, that's fair enough. But then the next backing vocalist, Debbie Dye, he introduces as his ex-wife, so I thought maybe he's having a laugh. I don't know, but I listened to the following night's show, March the 1st, and he says nothing of the kind, so maybe it was just a one-off joke or something, although he did have a relationship with Helena Springs, and he wrote more than a dozen songs with her, including Walk Out in the Rain and If I Don't Be There by Morning, which were covered by Eric Clapton. I still haven't heard the original Bob demo of that, unfortunately. It's noticeable on this album that Bob chats a lot with the audience. Whenever I've seen Bob Dylan in concert, he never says more than a couple of words, but here he's really quite appreciative of the Tokyo crowd, and he's calling them a sweet audience. And he's even repeating, someone requested John Wesley Harding, and he says, oh, you want John Wesley Harding? And things like, you're going to know this one better than the previous one, when he's playing Going, Going, Gone, having played Is Your Love in Vain for the first time, new song. So all the way through, he's just saying thank you, and It's good to be with you, and times are changing. He says, I wrote this song 15 years ago, which puts it into perspective, because he was singing it now, he'd have to say, I wrote it 60 years ago. So this Budokan is 1978, when Bob was in his prime, and he says it means a lot, still means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to you. People slagging that off as being a bit cringy, but I don't think it was insincere. Interesting to see the build-up for this particular concert album. He did 3 concerts on the 20th, 21st and 23rd of Feb in Budokan. Then he moved to Osaka Fu in Japan, 24th, 25th, 26th, then returned to Budokan for 5 gigs, 28th of Feb, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th of March. And as I say, this album was recorded on the 28th of Feb and the 1st of March, combination of the two. And then he went to Australia for quite a bit of March and April. Then he played some gigs in the US and the UK in June. Then he went to the Netherlands, Germany, Paris, 5 gigs in Paris, 2 gigs in Gothenburg, Sweden in July. And then the famous concert at Blackbush Aerodrome in Camberley in the UK in July. And then heading off to the USA, and plus a gig in Montreal for most of September through December, which is remarkable. I started to count the amount of gigs he did in 1978, and I couldn't be bothered to count all of them. I'm guessing it's nearer 100 than 50, put it that way. And it was interesting that as the tour progressed, he would play more songs from Street Legal. So on this album, we've only got Is Your Love in Vain, but he played every song from Street Legal at some stage on the tour. Some songs more than others, and then the only songs he didn't play were No Time to Think and New Pony. He usually finished his concert set list with Changing of the Guards. So if you want to look up Bob Dylan's set list, it's all available online. You can look up every single concert he did in his career and see the set list, which is quite fascinating. And I was very interested to see that on the final gig of 1978 in a place called Hollywood, Florida, he did Do Right Unto Others, which would later appear on Slow Train Coming. So, of course, we're on the cusp of the big Christian trilogy, which would come next in Bob's career. So very interesting to see that track performed. So this original album, I struggled with a little bit, and I haven't played it too much over the years, but I revisited it again recently. And I really do think it's a gorgeous version of Mr. Tambourine Man to lead off the album. And I particularly like the version of Love Minus Zero, No Limit. There was someone writing a review the other day, quite amusingly, saying after a few beers, it's probably your favourite version of the song. And I would agree. I think it's brilliant, with lovely kind of flute or something in the background. And It's Alright Ma is also very successful. Forever Young is gorgeous. So yeah, and this album came with a booklet, because originally it was Japan only. So this booklet contains all of the information and the lyrics in Japanese, also in English, some photos. Bob on the keyboards, though. I don't think he played keyboards on this particular album. He might have done, and the lyrics in English, which is nice to have, because Blood on the Tracks didn't come with the lyrics, and I don't think most of his 60s albums didn't come with the lyrics. I know a few copies of Desire and Street Legal did, but not all copies. So nice to have the lyrics for Japanese fans and for English fans in either language. And so we're going to come to the alternate tracks, because there's a double vinyl, which I haven't seen come to Hungary yet. I'm going to get it probably, which is good value for money. It's a double vinyl containing all of the tracks not appearing on the original album, plus some alternate tracks, alternate recordings of a few tracks which did appear on the album. And of the extra ones, we got some very interesting stuff. We got an instrumental version of A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall with the whole of the Street Legal band, and it sounds to me like almost like a Street Legal sort of outtake, glorious outtake, with the instrumental band with the swirling organ, and it reminded me a bit of the instrumental section towards the end of Changing of the Guard. I think it's brilliant musicianship and a really clever idea to open the concert with an instrumental, just so the band sort of get into the groove. And then I Threw It All Away is a gorgeous performance. Not sure why that didn't make the album. With an interesting change of words in the last verse when he says, "Take my advice if you don't want to pay the price of throwing it all away." To Ramona, a great version of that early song from another side of Bob Dylan. Is Your Love in Vain was on the original album, but I actually prefer the performance on March the 1st, which is on this new Spotify release, and I think he sings it even better. Very heartfelt vocal performance from Bob on this song. It was a brand new song after all. It sounds like he's singing it directly at whoever he wrote the song about, which I'm not sure who it was, but anyway. What else? One of Us Must Know turns up on here. Brilliant version of that. You're a Big Girl Now. Good, but obviously not as good as the album version, What Could Be, and even the 76 live version wasn't quite on the same level as the album version, but I'm nitpicking a bit. Tomorrow is a Long Time, which turned up on Bob Dylan Greatest Hits Volume 2, is performed with the full band as opposed to an acoustic performance, which is interesting. And the band introductions, as I referred to earlier, are quite amusing. And then which are not on the album, not going to appear on the double vinyl, which is a pity in a way, but it's nice to hear Bob sort of warmly sort of appreciating the people playing with him. There's a couple of tracks. Repossession Blues, it was performed as the second track on the 28th of Feb, a cover version, and Love Her With a Feeling on the 1st of March, which are both included on the double vinyl. I Don't Believe You, brackets She Acts Like We'd Never Have Met, is also an extra track, nice version. The Man in Me from New Morning is performed, which are pretty rare to see him perform that song, and I think I detected some new lyrics about you've got a new husband or something in the later verses. Not sure about that. But anyway, this was Bob Dylan at Budokan, so the original album with the gatefold, with his nice little sort of piece at the top left-hand corner saying how much he enjoyed Japan and he's going to be back one day. I'm not sure if he has been back, he probably has, but this was a monumental year for Bob Dylan in terms of touring, 1978. And then, of course, we had the great Slow Train Coming just around the corner. So thank you for watching this. See you next time.